For those of you who want access to the recording, take out your cameras now and photograph that QR code. Give me your name and your email address. Everybody who signs that list will automatically become a member of the Blender user group, which I'm the president of. Okay? And you will get the full recording of today's presentation. So how about if we just go ahead and jump right in and get started? Looks like everybody's ready, good to go. Wow, what a great attendance. Thank you all for coming. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you to ComicCon. I just get excited every year I do these presentations. I love to share and I love my craft. I'm Stephen Burns. When we're done with the presentation, I brought a bunch of these little promo cards. It shows the books I've written and also the QR codes on here. All my contact information's on here. You will be given information on how to get involved in my 5-week Blender classes, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. All right, so I'm an instructor, I'm also an artist. I teach at Studio Arts of Los Angeles. They are, who said that? Yeah, there you go. My assistant is here. Studio Arts of Los Angeles trains seasoned professionals. Most of my students are Maya professionals who are now porting over to Blender. And there's a reason why. Yeah. Blender is not just free. Professionals don't do things for free. We will pay for it if it's going to make our job easier and better. Blender has revolutionized the 3D industry to the point that not only is it free, but it's the next thing that's going to be the future. And it's outstanding. I won't be able to show you everything about Blender today. Obviously, it's not humanly possible, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to take the 5-week classes, beginning, intermediate, and advanced Blender classes. My friend here, Nikolai Svakhin, Dr. Nikolai Svakhin, is the lead 3D engineer for Adobe. Everybody know Photoshop and Adobe? Please share more.
Yeah, my name is Nikolai Svakhin. I've been with Adobe for 18 years and mostly doing 3D. I did 3D in Photoshop, I did 3D in Substance Tools, and yeah, they let me out once in a while to talk to audience, and I'm really happy about it. I'm not an artist myself, so you're going to see a lot of engineering art in my presentations. I'm just going to grab it, like imagine grabbing a Photoshop brush tool and say, hey, pixels, so that's going to be roughly what you're going to see, but yeah, I want to just always inspired by what you guys do, and always happy to be here.
All right, today's presentation, yes. Now, if you guys have questions, stop me anytime you ask a question. Nikolai and I will try to kind of keep our eyes scanned in the audience here. I like to get the dialogue going.
Do you like Mixamo?
Oh, Mixamo. Oh.
Mixamo is, the question is, do I like Mixamo? Mixamo is a company that was acquired by Adobe about 7 years ago, and it provides a very cool animation service. I would say, yeah, like a lot of, I'm actually was part of, that reabsorbed the Mixamo team. A lot of Mixamo people are my friends, so yeah, I love Mixamo.
Thanks,
I think that Mixamo is a great program. For those who don't know what Mixamo is, many of us in the gaming industry may want to use characters. Well, Mixamo has these pre-designed characters and animation or motion capture data associated with them. I think it's a great concept, but I think Adobe needs to expand it. It's been kind of sedentary for a little bit too long. I think they need to put a lot more motion capture data and a lot more characters into it. So other than that, I think it's really wonderful. So let's go ahead and get started. Unleash the power of Blender 3D to build environments. So we're gonna.
You got a question?
We have a question. Thank you for telling me. Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. Is it true that you guys are putting Blender on the iPad now?
I like this man.
Yeah, good question. Thank you.
Yes.
Really?
Blender is now available, well, in beta fashion. I've been watching the videos on it. Okay, Blender is now available for like iPad, Android devices, and your phones, and the interface is exactly what you see on your desktop. Everything works. Yeah.
Nice question.
Sorry, Adobe.
We've been doing our own mobile stuff, and yeah, but I really some of that UI will be challenging for. We did just ship Photoshop, full Photoshop on the iPad, so it takes time. Big ships turn slowly.
Yes, they do. All right. So, building environments. What are we building environments for? What are we building environments for? To do what?
Background.
Backgrounds, right? But also to kind of tell a story. There's some story, some theme going on. I want to show you some examples of how I used environments, and then we're going to go into Blender, and I'm going to talk to you about how I set things up. But I'm also going to talk to you about the philosophies of building believable environment. The whole idea is to tell a story. That story always has a main central character, the primary point of focus. That concept goes all the way from the great painters, to the sculptors, to the film, and also to photography. Having a strong point of focus, an compelling point of focus. So this one is a 3D model that I built. The guy who designed it, his name is John Eves. John Eves is the guy that actually designed the Enterprise Enterprise E. Enterprise E, as well as the new starship from the Strange New World series, Enterprise. So he gave me his drawings, and then I built the 3D model based on his drawings, but I wanted to build an environment with this. So going forward, I started to explore the concept of first entering a background. And I'm going to show you the two types of backgrounds you can use inside of Blender. One is environmental, another one is kind of a plate. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I use this one as more of environmental. It's called an HDRI image. An HDRI image is basically a photographic image. How many bits do we work with mostly in a photographic image? This could be a test question when it's walking, so pay attention. How many bits? No. How many bits do we normally work with?
24?
No, 8. 8-bit file, right? Yeah, it's an 8-bit file. Well, an HDR image is a 32-bit file. So it's a lot of information. So that makes them ideal for wrapping that around your, like a giant sphere. Imagine a giant sphere around your 3D environment where all the colors and all the values of that image is actually being emitted into the image, which gives it a realistic effect as if it's actually there in that scene. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Now I'll bring in layers of interesting elements. For example, and I'm going to show you this one here, the plants in the foreground, the mountains in the background. But there's something else that's gluing all this together. And that glue is the atmospheric haze. Right? Let's go forward. Adding a little bit of lighting. They give us some light, they give us some depth. Now, I'm not going to show you texturing because Nikolai is going to show you texturing in a Substance Painter, which is actually a 3D painting program that's industry standard in working with 3D. Okay? So we want to kind of give you like a beginning to end workflow. Here's a concept a client hired me to design. It's basically a space station or repair station for a Constitution-class starship. There's the raw image. And as I go forward, I added a background to it. In addition to the background, if you look very, very closely, I have that glue that we talked about. That glue being that slight little haze that kind of merges everything visually together. And I'm gonna go to the next one. You can kind of see another version of this with, again, that HDRI background behind it. All right. Now, here's one that's interesting. It's an interior. Well, do interiors also have the same rules as exterior? You darn right it does. You're darn right. So here's the naked view of the interior. We're going to add in our texture and our lighting to that same interior. What is that glue that kind of merges everything together? Yeah, atmospheric haze. Boom, there it is. It just merges it all together. And then I'll play around with it, see what it would look like, because this is actually a space station. You can see the windows right up here. So I kind of put it into an environment just to see what it looked like with the background around it. Yes, sir.
Is there a difference in the haze you would use in an atmosphere and in an afterlife space?
His question is there a difference between the atmosphere that I would use inside a space station and the atmosphere of space? The honest answer is yes. Because space, what is the haze going to be? It's going to be nebula clouds of a luminous gas. Inside the space stations, it's going to be a consistent haze. So yes. Will we have time for me to show it to you? No. But we got the 5-week blender class you can take. You can learn it there. So now we go to the planets I was doing. Something I did for a client. The same concept. Making it all work together. With the object, which is your primary point of focus, the texture, and then the atmospheric haze. As I go forward, I'm showing the individual planets by themselves with the same concepts that I'm using all the time. Is that making sense so far? Primary point of focus, we got our subject matter. And the whole idea is to have a foreground, middle ground, and background. There's our subject, just a frame from animation that I'm working on. Adding the grasses, the 3D grass for the foreground. And then our background is it's basically a plugin in Blender that allows you to create skies. It's called sky texture, to be exact. And then I added a little bit of something else to help break up the negative space back there in the sky. Add a little fireflies. All right, let's go forward. To that, I added the atmospheric haze. Different look, right? Like before and after. Gives you a different feel. It gives you a feel that's almost romantic in a way. Okay? Let's go forward. There's another scene. And add a little bit of fog to the ground to give it a little bit of interest in the bottom. All right, now this one's one of my favorites, okay? It's a fine art piece. I call it Tied to the Abyss. I built it in Blender. I detailed the sculpture and the rock texture here inside of ZBrush, which is a 3D program for sculpting. As I go forward, I added the glue to it. The atmospheric haze, it starts to give it a sense of, starts to give it a feeling. And now I need to add an environment that's going to give this a story. And that's the finished piece. Okay? So whenever we're creating something in a 3D program, we have to have skills, but those skills are for the purpose of telling a story. We should never forget that. Okay, so shall we go into Blender? All right, let's go into Blender. And let's see, I want to, oh yes, I have a question. There's a question right here.
Yeah, so with the atmosphere, are you playing with the opacity to get the different?
Now his question is, with the atmosphere, am I playing with the opacity? I'm going to answer your question by letting you see it. I'm going to show it to you.
Cool, thank you.
Okay? Yes, you have another question. Yes, sir.
The last one where you were showing the sculpture rising out of the water, you added atmospheric phase and lighting to the background. Did you filter out the lighting in the background so it wasn't passing through the sculpture?
Let's go take a look at that. This one here?
Yeah.
All right, so what I have a tendency to do in my shots is to keep it simple. I'll start with one light source. That's it. so that I can establish the feeling and the mood and the texture. And if I need to add other light sources, I'll do so. But I want the theme to be defined by a single light source. And that single light source in this shot is coming up from a 45-degree angle right above his head, right from behind. When I'm out in the desert or if I'm shooting photography, I've been a professional photographer for almost 40 years. And when I'm shooting and I'm looking at light out in the field, I'm always photographing so the light's coming at me at an angle. Now, a Kodak on their boxes tell you to photograph when the light's behind you, right? Now, I do it when it's coming at me, because that's where the shadows are coming out at you toward the lens, creating this very dynamic depth. Does that make sense?
Okay, and then for the stars that I'm seeing here, none of those are passing through your sculpture.
Some of them are, you just don't see it. When they pass through the sculpture, you don't see them.
Right.
But we don't care about them because they pass through the sculpture.
So they're actually, so your background scene is actually projecting through your foreground scene?
Well, my background scene is an actual 3D object. It's an object of stone that I sculpted inside of Blender.
Yeah, it's in a 3D space.
That's right, it's in the 3D space. It's not a background around a sphere lighting the scene. Right, like the other two I showed was the image wrapped around a sphere that's lighting the scene. This is not. This is an actual 3D object behind it.
All right, but I don't think I'm asking the question.
Okay,
the right way.
sure.
You have light coming through starlight. Here's your admittedly lousy sculpture on my part. Is it passing right through the sculpture?
No.
Okay, that was my question.
Does it look like it?
I can't tell.
Okay. So no, it's not. No, these are basically fireflies sitting out in the open.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And another question, yes.
The light source, you said was a 3D object, so you have multiple little light sources in the background?
I can. With this piece, are you referring to this piece here?
Yes.
This piece is a single object, single light source, but the fireflies themselves are emitting some light.
I guess my question, I know you can put like an image, or you can replace the image with 3D, or there are objects themselves, right?
Okay, say it again. I didn't hear you.
You had mentioned that they were objects, the lights were objects. So they're not, it's not a single panel image, it's a little light source in the background, objects.
For this shot, it's a single light source. Yes.
Those fireflies are
The fireflies are illuminations. But you can make them a light source if you so choose.
right, I was just curious to know whether or not it was like model, background, little dots as your light.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, so keep it that. Keep it. I kind of look at things in terms of layers. All right. Okay, very good. So let's go forward. So let's go inside of Blender. We're going to take a look at something, an example. There we go. I'm going to take a look at an example, and let's give it a little hot minute here. It's kind of, there we go. Come on. Maximize. It's stuck. Well, let's see what I've got going here. Sometimes that happens, so what I have to do is just cold boot it. Go to my task manager, if that ever happens. Go find Blender here, and we'll end that task so that Blender goes away.
Is that a Blender issue or a hardware issue?
Well, the issue is probably a graphics card issue because I'm connected to a projector. Even when I do Zoom meetings, I'll have things happening that don't normally happen because of the graphics card resources being taken up by the projector. And they've got a big projector, so it's probably doing things in my system that normally wouldn't. Okay, so let's go to Blender real quick. I'm using version 4.5. That was just released 3 days ago. Now, Now, let me ask you guys this. What do you, is anybody here using Blender at all? Let
Yes.
me see your hands. Raise your hands. What are you using it for?
Animation.
Pencil.
Grease pencil, that's cool.
Art projects, animation, model making.
Very good.
Models, backgrounds,
Models and what?
backgrounds.
And backgrounds, models and backgrounds.
I make my models in ZBrush and then transfer them to Blender.
Make them in ZBrush and transfer them in Blender. That's a great workflow. And what do you use it for?
Me?
Yes.
I'm learning, so I can't say I'm using it other than totaling around and not getting anywhere.
Okay, but what do you do professionally?
I'm retired IT guy.
IT guy. Okay, so you're new to art in general?
I'd say that's, yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
You're gonna love the classes.
Okay, I'm sold.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Here's my character. This is what we're looking at through the camera screen. Okay. If you can look right over here in the top right-hand corner, these are where all my 3D objects, all my assets reside. There's my camera. That's my light source. We've got. Let's go find the camera real quick. It's somewhere in here, but yeah, but your cameras will be here, your objects will be here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out of the camera view into the scene view. So hit 0 on the numeric side of my keyboard and it switches to my whole scene. Now you can see the fireflies in here, which is basically particles that animate. So if I hit the space bar, you can see rain of fireflies coming down. I'm going to select that and I'm going to hide it. So I'm going to come over, go to my snow plane, hit the H key on the keyboard, it hides that. And we go to my, I think it's this one here, there it is, see? Turn that off and on, I'm going to hide that one. Now I'm going to show you how I set this up. Telling a story. There's my character. If I click on it, hit the period key on the numeric side, it will zoom into that selected object. So I'm basically setting things up the way that I think I want to tell a story. Look at what I've got going on in the foreground. Well, here's kind of like a textured grassy plain. All right, now this is not for professional use, it's just for demo use, so there's not a lot of plants and stuff here to attract your attention. But if you look in the background, this particular setup is a fast way to get something really cool in Blender. Basically, I took my photograph, I took a panoramic view of my photograph and wrapped it on a 3D plane. That's all I did. So if you wanted something fast, now I'm going to show you how to actually build the scene with an actual mountainscape going in there in just a little bit. But if you want to do something really fast, this is a great way to do it. Then when I go to my camera view, hitting 0 key on the keyboard, on the numeric side of my keyboard, I'm going to click it, I'm back to my camera view. I'm going to come down here to the bottom. Now, I've got a separate panel down here. These panels can be anything you want. So basically, if I come over here and go to this little icon in the very top right left-hand corner, that is the symbol for the node view. The node is for connectivity to more advanced features inside of Blender. We won't talk about them right now. But if I hit that little symbol there, I can say go to my timeline, and I have my animation timeline. So if I pull this, you can see what I'm doing. I'm having the camera move around my subject with that mountain in the background. So what I'm doing is giving you this, what do you call it, where the foreground moves slower, but the background moves faster? What is it called? Parallax. I'm trying to give the parallax effect. Ignore that strange no action. That's because I'm using my hand or the mouse to animate it rather than allowing the natural animation of Blender to create this soft body effect right there, where the scarf is actually floating in the wind as you're animating around it. So that's a fast way of getting a nice little environment. Now, right here is my fog. Let me go back out real quick. And I've got about 5 minutes to go before we get to Nikolai. See that symbol? See that little that little symbol here? That's my fog. That's my environment. Okay. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to take you to another scene now, where I'm going to give you a practical application of what you might be using in Blender, using all 3D objects inside your scene. So let's get out of here. I'm going to go to open. Actually, I got to open recent. And I've got my log cabin. I just set this up last night before I went to bed. I figured this might be a better example. Don't save. And there it is. That's my log cabin scene. Now, here is the mountainscape I've given Nikolai as an asset last night. But here's my scene. And the way it's set up is very much how you're going to be working in Unreal Engine. You're going to be bringing in things and that's going to behave like layers. Each of these objects are on a different layer on a top right-hand corner. There's my mountain front, mountain rear, right? There is my cabin right there. And if I hit the period key, it zooms into my cabin. Important to note, remember, everything should be real life perspective. How do we know it? It's going to be real life perspective. Well, the fast way to do it is shift right click, which is my 3D cursor. Anything I bring in Blender will always show up with that 3D cursor. The fast way to make sure everything is going to be to human size, because when you bring it into Unreal Engine is going to recognize that this is the right size. Shift A, shortcut for accessing all of your 3D objects. I'm going to go over to Armature and Human. And there is my human height right there. So my cabin has been created based on human height, so I know it's correct. All right, now here's where it gets fun. I'm going to go to camera view now. There it is. Okay, everything's in layers. It doesn't look like they're in layers, but now it does because we're looking through the perspective of the lens. We can bring in the atmosphere now. I'm going to show you how it's done. I'm taking a risk because that means I have to take this to a render mode, which may mess with the graphics card, with this projector. So just FYI. Okay. So that's prey to the Blender gods. So we'll go here and let's go very quickly into this mode, and it's going to be very simple. There's my 3D object, Shift A, Mesh. This is where all my primitives live in Blender. I want a cube. I want to make that cube big. X-ray mode. Bring it back a little bit, right? Let me do it this way. Let me go to solid mode, and now I'm in X-ray mode so I can see through everything. I know where everything is. So I'm going to take take this, and more importantly, let me push this back. See this? This is going to be my atmosphere, right? So what do I need to do? Yeah? What do I need to do?
Stretch it out.
Yep, scale it. Boom. Cover everything. Scale it some more. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to go right about there. Now here we go. Now this is where it gets fun. I'm going to show you how to make atmosphere. I'm going to, we got about 2 minutes left. Let's do my atmosphere demo. To make this work, we need to go texture this. I'm gonna come right down here to what's called the shader editor, which is gonna allow me to texture the shape. Now I need to be in render mode. Now this is why I say we might get into trouble. I'm holding down the Z key. It gives me my options for my viewers, and go to render. Okay? And once I'm there, I need to tell it to give it a new texture. Okay? So I'm gonna come here, hit the new button, and I have this. Now, this is gonna be your standard surfacing shader for all of your 3D objects in Blender. But I need to turn this to a cloud. Pull it out of here, delete the shader. And all I'm gonna do is go to Shift A, and I wanted to search for something called volume scatter. Volume means cloud. This shader is now going to turn that object into a cloud or fall. Plug it not into the surface, but into the volume. Boom. Let's see if it works. It kind of works. It actually is working. But what do I need to do? I got to bring in a background that's going to light it. Now let's bring in our HDRI background. There's my background. Let's go get an image for it here. And if I go to my images, let's go grab, no, I actually have a folder called HDRI. At least I thought I did, which is probably right up here. Let's see if it's there. All right, it is, let's go here. There we go, found it. There it is, HDRI, it's right there. Everybody sees it? Right there, I'm gonna double click it. And let's see what happens. I'm gonna do one last thing. Change the render mode, there. Boom, okay? There's the background, light and scene. Now, go to the cube and take the strength down to 0.1. Oops, I'm sorry, wrong one, my fault. I'm in the background, and I should be into the object mode here. Okay, so I've got the cube, volume scatter, density 0.1, and it's having a hard time. Let's bring it down even lower. There it is, see? It's going really, really, really light. So I've got, look, I've got 0.03, 0.005, see? 0.0005, see? There's my fog as I go inside. And now if I go to camera view, remember? There it is. Look at the background. See how it's reacting? This way of working is accurate to reality for an environment. All right, so I'm done. We're going to take it over to Nikolai. He's going to talk about texturing these environments.
Start the recording. Can you hear me? Everything is good? All right. Okay, bring to the screen recording goes. All right, so what Stephen was doing is there's a lot of things to, there's a lot of tools for you to tell the story. I'm going to be talking about just one sub-task of it, which is texturing. And for basically texturing and materials are one part of 3D workflow, but as you can see, there's more. There's compositions, there's atmospherics, camera work, animation, all sorts of stuff. So this is what we're going to be doing with one of the assets that Stephen provided. We're just going to do this sort of atmospheric, in a different sense of the word, but sort of this dramatic flyby of the asset, textured with our own textures of rocks, moss, ice, something, stuff that can be found on the mountain. So, before doing that, I'm going to give you just a short glimpse of what are we dealing with here. The problem here is that we're going to go from Blender, which exports the geometry file. We're going to go from scratch into Substance Painter, and we need to put it in Unreal. Now, just a little bit of history, transitioning between those introduces complexity. You have data compatibility issues. Integration tools are evolving, but still limited. And streamlining, whatever tool bag you have, mastering the streamlining is the key to your efficiency. So since we are just talking about texturing and materials, I'm just going to give you a small introduction to materials. So what is material? Material is how a surface interacts with light. Essentially, it's a mathematical model that represents surface properties. And to make things even easier from a mathematical perspective, introducing the rendering equation, which models of light transport and scenes. An equation is foundational to realistic image synthesis. If this diagram confuses you, let's make it clearer. You can go to the Wikipedia page. It's a nice read to get to on a Sunday afternoon. But what you've been seeing for the last 40 years in CGI is everybody approximating that particular equation in CGI. All of that has been an approximation. Initial models, like the Dire Straits Money for Nothing video, was just a single color. Then we introduced textures and introduced more shading. As memory improved, as computational capabilities improved, now we can do a lot of stuff on the phone. But that brings us to photorealism. What it does mathematically from materials point of view is just having better and better approximation of that equation. The problem with that is that if you're doing these workflows, you have slightly different focuses, slightly different details of what you want to focus on. Like if you are Pixar, you're focused on a high quality rendering. For game engines, the interactivity is most while maintaining. Anyway, it's an artistic choice, and sometimes it might not even be real. Sometimes it can be just, some sort of stylized thing. And long story short, fast forward 40 years later, we are converging on a realistic shading model, and that's what I am going to demonstrate to you how to work it. And it has 5 different maps. Now, you don't want to be thinking about them as maps. Most of these maps that I just talked about, I just listed, they're not even colors, they're just values describing material properties, but we don't want to think about that. We want to think about just using shape and the mood of style of 3D scene create. You want to be creative, you don't want to be thinking about mathematics. So enter the Adobe Substance tools. We have good, we're in time. So we've got Painter, Designer, Sampler. Sampler is good for creating 3D models. Designer is good for advanced creation of 3D models. Painter is what's used for texture. And so that's, and another thing that Substance gives to you is the Substance Material Collection. Now the Substance Material Collection is the fact that you don't have to make a material, you can just search for it. We have tens of thousands of materials available to you for free with your Creative Cloud subscription. All you have to do is to go to this URL, substance3d.adobe.com/assets. You can find a lot of materials there. So whatever I'm going to tell you, I'm just not going to be describing creation of materials, I'm going to just be describing application. Chances are, whatever material you want, it's there inside this collection. So let's fire up the Painter. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to be working in 2K by 2K resolution, and I'm going to be using a lower poly version of the rock, of the mountain that's in the So let's go ahead and select it. Everything else should be by default. And now, here is the thing about this complexity I was talking about. You see how much stuff is there? and I'm putting it mildly stuck, a lot of stuff.
You're talking about the spears, right?
I'm talking about the menu. I'm talking about the menu is how many presets are there. And so there's a lot of workflows. We're going to be talking about Unreal workflow because the video that I showed you was done in Unreal. So we're going to say, we're going to do it with Unreal preset. We're going to use this file and we're going to import it into Painter. There you go. Got the file. So now what you can do about it. Now, how many people are familiar with Photoshop? Perfect.
All my hands.
Yeah, showing all of them. Are you familiar with layers in Photoshop? Exactly. Of course. Same thing. We've got layers in Painter. I'm going to demonstrate. Here on the left side, we've got a lot of materials. If you click on Substance 3D Assets and you're online, you can do this search that I was talking to you about. You can just go ahead and I'm offline right now, but I did a search before. And you can just bring it. Again, not going to be fun on Convention Center Wi-Fi, but if you are on your broadband, it's going to be a breeze. So all the substance collections is going to be available to you. So let's search for stone. We've got some stone, and just let's make it a base layer. So voila. We have created a base layer. Well, we can just stop there, and it's a nice looking rock. Again, engineering art, no aesthetics. No aesthetics taken here whatsoever. But, I mean, I can show you more layers. Let's paint, let's just paint. So we create a paint layer, and we say, hey, let's create a moss layer or grass layer. I don't know, I just want to do something that's like, this is going to be really visible on the screen. Let's see.
Unreal costs money, doesn't it?
Unreal does not cost money. Unreal licensing, if you're doing for commercial work, it's you can do a lot of it for free. But the full package is for free. It's how you sell what you create.
Right.
That might incur
Right.
licensing.
If you make $1 million or more, you pay on that. Other than that, it's free.
Okay,
All
I didn't know
right.
that.
So yeah, it's Unreal. I think both Unreal and Unity are like that. They could just sort of just.
I know Unity.
Yeah, same thing. Same license.
Wow, thank you.
So now you have a material called moss, and we can just, so here, what I did, I started painting. There you go, now you have painting, and it's all layers. So layers, just like layers in Photoshop, you can always turn it off, you can create a mask, you can create other materials in it. Again, if you understand layers in Photoshop, layers in Substance Painter are similar but different.
The workflow in Painter is exactly like Photoshop. Even the interface is very much like Photoshop. It's just basically it's Photoshop for 3D. And it's really fast and easy to learn. And I even teach a class on Blender 3D and Substance Painter integration.
Substance Painter, that's cost money though.
Yes,
Substance Painter is part of Substance 3D collection, which is
There's a new Painter add-on for Blender though.
It's not new, I discovered. He's talking about Uchu Paint.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but it doesn't quite stand up to what he's showing.
right, but if you don't have the money,
Oh, you have the money.
no, but for the
It's a
other,
monthly subscription.
It's a monthly subscription, yeah. So it's sold as a part of add-on to Creative Cloud subscription.
Photoshop is $9.99 to $9.95 a month. So this
This one is an add-on. I don't have the exact pricing right now, but yeah, this is. You can do a 30-day free trial specifically for this add-on.
We have 5 minutes.
All right. So
We have a giveaway to get to.
yes. Let's. Okay. Let me just load the file that I was going with some time ago. Yeah, lots of engineering art. But yeah, I created this very fancy looking mountain. It has snow on top. It's an artistic vision. All right. Let's see how you put it in Unreal. So if you want to put it in Unreal, that's where it becomes a little hairy because control. It's yet another system and yet another ecosystem. So it's not part of Substance ecosystem, it's not part of Blender ecosystem, but there are ways to do that. To do that, you say export textures, and you say where do you want the textures exported, and you say, hey, I want Unreal Engine preset. You say export. Another thing you need to export is the mesh, again, for it to be compatible with Unreal. You can use OBJs in Unreal directly, but here we're going to use another format, again, by trial and error, to sort of figure out the format that is needed to you, and that's why it's, right now we're using FBX. So we export the mesh, and then we go into Unreal. Now, what I did specifically is that this is Unreal's default scene, and what it does, it creates for you this showcase for this geometry of the car. So what we're going to do, we're going to throw away the car, and we're going to put our mountain instead. And I'm going to just preload my project. Again, it might be different. Which one? I think it was this one that I did specifically for Unreal. Unreal has this very interesting habit of just preparing for things. So sometimes it just sits and does nothing. It basically means it's compiling all the shaders, compiling all the rendering pipeline for you to enjoy. And yeah, so there you go. And now we have this experience of something we just painted in Substance Painter, and we put it in Unreal. There's a lot. You can, this can be rendered now into a movie. You can put it online. You can put it into interactive experience. You can put it in a video game.
Or back into Blender.
Or you can, but there are workflows that allow the Painter results to be put back into Blender. I was focusing on Unreal here, but here you basically learn how to go from scratch in Painter into Unreal. Now, one final thing. This tip is going to help you a lot. Anytime you try to replicate it and you have some questions, you can ask a chatbot of your choice for help. It's really good at helping you out. Once you learn the terminology, sort of the initial introduction gives you the terminology. Now you can deep dive into details, basically with Claude or ChatGPT. I think it's just a great tool. It just allows you to learn and unlock yourself very, very fast.
All right, so time for the giveaway. Thanks. Okay, so Nikolai is going to think of a question, and I'm going to keep my eyes scanned in the audience, so my assistant over here is going to help me. And whoever raises their hand first and answers the question correctly gets to win one of the two prizes. How about the first prize, the one-year subscription to Adobe?
First year.
What does Substance Painter?
It's a Substance 3D collection. It includes Painter and a lot of other things.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's do a question. The question is, so when John Warnock founded the Adobe company, he used to live in a house in Los Altos, and there was a creek that flowed right by his house. What was the name of the creek?
All right, right there. Stand up so we can hear you.
Adobe.
The answer is Adobe. That is correct, sir. You come to me and give me your email, and I'll give you a subscription.
Now, Nikolai's going to think of a second question, and the next person's going to win the Wacom Intros Professional tablet.
All right. In what version of Photoshop were the layers introduced first?
What's right there?
This was the first
This
one.
one. Oh, this is the first one? Okay.
Was it CS1?
The CS1 is incorrect.
Incorrect. You're next.
Which
CS3.
CS3 is incorrect.
Yeah, the lady right there.
CS5.
Right there. No, yeah, you. Yeah, stand up. Stand up.
CS4?
No.
Okay. It was before CS. It's a number.
All right.
Okay, you.
3.
Excellent.
Read a dog, that's correct.
Thank you all for coming. This has been great. I'm gonna take a picture of you real quick. So stay right there.